Thank you for joining us in the Queen's Court today. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep reigning with purpose and walking in power.
Welcome back to the Queen's Court. I am so excited for today's episode because we're talking about something that every woman of faith and purpose needs, and that is the courage to say yes. So my guest today is Kandice Jackson, and trust me, she knows a thing or two about bold moves. Kandice is the CEO and founder of Bounce Fitness Club, a boutique rebound fitness company, and the founder of AI Brand Impact, a marketing agency where she helps entrepreneurs harness the power of AI to grow their brand and increase profit without burning out. She's no stranger to reinvention. She's launched and relaunched businesses around her passions and experience, and she's taken leaps in her personal life too. Recently getting married and relocating after 30 years in Atlanta. Her story is proof that living fearlessly isn't about never feeling fear. It's about leaning in, trusting your instincts, and building a life that aligns with your passions. And today, she's here to share her journey and wisdom with us. So welcome, Kandice. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you. I am so excited to have this chat with
Well,
you. You are my girl, and I'd love to be in the Queen's Court.
I am so excited to have you here. So thank you again. And let's start at the beginning. So you have this adventurous spirit, and I know that firsthand. You know, I am evidence.
I have pulled you into my adventure.
We can definitely talk about that at some point. But take us through, you know, where do you think that adventurous spirit comes from? Because it does shine through everything that you do.
You know, it's funny you say that because I don't feel like I do, because like most people, you have that voice inside your head that says, no, you shouldn't do that. That's too dangerous. That's not the right move, right? That imposter syndrome. And I feel like that voice is so loud sometimes, right? But so I'm an only child.
Okay.
And not to say because I'm spoiled or anything, but no one really told me no. So I'm like, when that voice gets in my head, I'm like, girl, go sit down. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell the boy, I talk to, and we'll get into it, but like I actually have a name for her.
Oh.
So when she creeps up, I'm like, girl, what you not gonna do is stop me from this or whatever. Right. So you have to like talk directly to that voice in your head, that fear, that imposter syndrome, right? You got to name it, you got to identify it and let it know what you're not going to do is stop me from this experience or this, you know, going back to school or this blah, 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 this relationship, right? So, but a lot of that is leaning into your instincts too, right? Because God gave women instincts and a lot of times, Lord, a lot of times we ignore it. Listen, my whole 20s and part of my 30s of dating was ignoring that. I was ignoring that instinct.
The red flags.
Right. All the red flags were thrown.
It was like, and you get a red flag and you get a red
flag. Right. Exactly.
A mess.
Exactly. Yeah. And then as I got older, I realized, I don't need the 6 foot tall, blah, 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 because he's the one that's not going to do you right.
Exactly.
But so I still have that, that fear in my head. When this adventurous spirit and, doing these, taking action on different things, it's about this passion or this goal that I have. And what she's not going to do is stop me from getting it. She is in the fear or, that voice in my head. So I still have it. I still walk with fear. It's just the fear is less, right, than my passion, than, my purpose, than my faith type of thing.
I love
it. I still walk with fear because she does not leave me alone, right? But I still walk with it. It's just less. The fear is less in my mind, right? The fear is less than all these other things that I want. So I kind of go after that.
I love that. And one of the things that you just said was you have to identify it. And I think that's probably the first thing, because if you have never heard of imposter syndrome or have no clue of what it is, identifying it can definitely be kind of hard to do. But the other thing that I love that you just said is that you fear less. Because again, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you are walking without fear. You just don't let it
Mhm.
overcome or over, like,
Yeah.
or steer you away from what you know in your mind, like you can do. So I love that. And I've always heard
Yes.
that fear is the false evidence it's false
Yes.
evidence appearing real. And I
Right.
always tell people that, when they say, but I'm
Mhm.
scared. So to hear you say that, is definitely, I agree. Definitely.
Because here's the other thing, fear shows up in so many
Yeah.
ways, like, um, let's get into the zip lining because 'cause let's just get into it, right? So when we went ziplining, it was not only you. I think all of the guys were fine, but all of the ladies, we were all fear. But it was like all these things that came into our head, like, well, it's a long drive, and what if I break my
Right.
ankle, and what if I fall? Like all these false
Yes.
things, right,
Yeah.
that were appearing
Yep.
real, right? And so fear shows up in other excuses, right? So you do have to identify it and call it out. I called it out too before I even reached out to any of you all. I had to work with that fear in my head, right? And then
Mm-mm.
I had to work on y'all.
I'm not buying it. And I'm saying that because because when you asked and when we got there, I did not sense a trace of fear from you. Now it was evident in myself and other people because I voiced
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
Like I'm like, I identified it and I gave it a name. It was what it was that day.
Right.
But,
Right.
just thinking about the zip line, and I remember because when I was thinking about you coming on in this episode, and I was like, "I know we're gonna talk
Mhm.
about it."
Yeah.
But one of the things that I remember for myself, I was thinking, like, just, "Hold on, don't look
Yeah.
down, and,
Yeah.
like, you got this." And so,
Yeah.
I think
Yes. Yes.
even in those instances of fear as it relates to, um endeavors or anything that we are
Mhm.
pursuing, if we just keep
Mhm.
reminding ourselves, like, like
Yes.
we got
Yeah.
this, I think
Yeah.
it gets easier. So yeah, that
And
was
what you said was just spot
yeah,
on. In that situation, it was don't look
right.
down, right? In other situations, it's like, don't look at that thing
Yes.
that you're scared of,
Yep.
right? Because the longer you look at it, the bigger and,
You magnify it.
more
Yeah.
egregious it's gonna become.
Yep.
So just don't look at it. Look in the other direction or mentally,
Oh, girl.
focus your mind
Yes.
in the other direction. So don't look at what's scaring you.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah, you nailed it.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Glad it's behind us. Is all
You
I'm
nailed it that day, especially that
I
last
know,
zip.
and
Woo!
so and then, looking at the video, it's kinda like, well, I did kinda, jump like I didn't have any fear, but
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
terrified, but
Yeah,
glad that's over.
exactly.
So I can mark that off my bucket list.
That's right, check. Yeah.
So thank you. So can you take us back to one of your first leaps of faith or maybe, an early influence that shaped you?
Mm. I was raised by my
Okay.
dad, right? Parents were divorced. I can't remember them even being together. I was raised by my dad. My mother's still in my
Yeah.
life, but she does have a very um well, back then, now she's a woman of the Lord. She doesn't really leave the house. She goes to church and back home. But back in the day, she was a little
Okay.
wild, right? So she was influencing me, and there was something I saw in her in that joy of her doing whatever X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z that I kind of tapped into.
Okay.
And while she wasn't a constant in my
Yeah.
life when I was growing up, because my dad
Yeah.
raised me, I did spend vacations and summers and things like that out in California with her. And there was just some way of living that I don't know, folks in California have that they didn't
It's like
have
free
here in
spirit.
Louisville, Kentucky,
Yeah, they're just
right?
free.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So there was something about, oh, I'm just gonna go run on the beach.
Mhm.
Like, yes, that's
Yep.
freeing, type of thing. So I think I tapped into those instincts of just kind of, early on in life. And then the whole, no one ever told me no as an only child, you know, coupled with that. And then um I was very confident as a kid before life happened, right? As a kid, I was very confident. So it's like I knew I could do it
Mhm.
type of thing, right? So I would say between those three
Okay.
things.
All right. Well, I love that. And I think when we're kids, like we don't have that fear. We don't have those insecurities that we do once we get older. So it's easier
Yes.
for us to just navigate life like we don't have any cares because at that point, like or at that time, we really don't.
We
Yeah,
don't.
we don't.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That was before the relationship heartbreaks and
yeah, all of
the
those
job
things. Oh
issues
my
and
gosh.
right, all of
Yeah,
that
all the
that
red
that
flags.
that
Go
chip
back to the red
away.
flags.
Yeah, all those red flags, yeah.
All of
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
do you remember the first moment that you realized I can do anything I set my mind to? Like, was that, um
Mhm. I think I do, and it's funny, I planned for that moment for about a year.
Okay.
Like, and when the moment happened, I was like, "Okay, it can come to
Yeah.
fruition," right? So, I was, born and raised in Louisville, went to University of Louisville, that's where my now husband we met at University of
Okay.
Louisville 30 plus years ago, just got married, but 30 plus years ago, we connected initially in
Yes.
life. After I graduated, I left Louisville because I needed to get away. I needed to spread my wings. I needed to get away from, the things that I was comfortable doing, right? So that one thing that kind of shifted was when I moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
I packed up all of my stuff in a U-Haul truck
Mhm.
and just moved to Atlanta. I didn't have a job. I kind of had a plan in my
Right.
head, right? But I didn't have a job, a way to like really support
Mhm.
myself. In my mind, I'm like, well, if it doesn't work out,
I
I
can
can
always come
always go
back.
home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But 30 years later, it worked
Yes.
out. It worked out. So I think it was that moment where I planned, like I went down there, I went got a Georgia driver's
Okay.
license. I registered to vote to establish residency,
Right.
right? So I had planned my move,
Okay.
right? And got look for an apartment, blah, 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 all these things, right? So I planned it and I'm like, well, I'm planning it, but is it really going to happen?
Mhm.
Type of thing. But the day that I packed everything up in a U-Haul, me and one of my girlfriends drove down to Atlanta, moved everything into my
Mhm.
apartment. I'm like, oh crap, I did this. Like I relocated on my own, planned it out, and now I'm in a whole new city, type of thing. So I think it was at that
Wow.
moment that was like 23 or something,
Okay.
24. I was able to do that and make it successful for 30
Yeah.
years. So I think that was the moment that I'm like, okay, if I put my mind to it, I can make it
Yeah.
happen.
And there was no fear in you doing that either. I mean, but you had a plan. So, and I've always, heard that there's nothing more dangerous than a woman with a plan. And I tell you, when
Right.
we plan, like
Yes.
it's like a
Yeah.
solid foolproof plan. And so if
Yeah.
anything,
Exactly.
deviates or doesn't happen, then it was some act of God, but it's not gonna
Right.
be in the
Right. Right.
man-made things that's gonna destroy
Exactly.
that. But and so I love it. Just being able
Mhm.
to pick up, move, not only that, but
Mhm.
to actually stay there and thrive for 30 years. So that's amazing. So
Yeah.
congratulations to you and
Yeah.
welcome back though.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're back.
I know. You know what? It's funny because that's another bold move
Yeah,
was
to coming
moving
back.
back, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get into
It
yeah.
definitely after 30 years of living in a place, I mean, that was now home. Atlanta was now home
Yeah.
to you for, being
Mhm.
there for 30 years.
Yeah.
But
But, it was bigger than it was home because I when I moved back, it's because my husband and my now husband
mhm,
reconnected and then, dated and got married. We were living in 2 different cities, but it was my business was
right,
there. My fitness business, I had a huge following. My friends were there. My support system was there. My home that if anything happened, listen, I still have my
right.
house, that's mine.
Yeah,
And my father raised me to be very independent,
I love
to
it.
a not like a woman that has her
I love
own
it.
type of thing,
Mhm,
right? So giving all that up to be combined into a marriage that was one, changing my last name, my address,
mhm,
my sister circles,
mm,
like all of that, it was bigger than just, oh, I'm just going to move back,
yeah,
right? Type of thing. It was like I'm having to
yeah,
restart. I won't say all of life because I still have my friends back
mhm,
there, but it's like
yeah.
rebuilding, right? At over 50 years old type of thing. So that was huge. That was
And that's
scary.
what I was getting ready to
So,
ask you. Like, how did you feel about that part? Like, was that, um, I know it was hard, but did you have any reservations about the rebuilding part? Um,
yeah. I didn't think that far
mhm,
ahead as much as I did moving to Atlanta.
right.
Like moving to Atlanta, I probably had a
Yeah.
spreadsheet and a Gantt chart and all of that, right?
A pie chart is
But
a graph, like
right,
year
right,
1, year 3,
PowerPoints.
year 5. Yeah.
But moving back because I was in love,
Yeah.
right? I got married, right? It was more of an emotional thing, right? It was like, my husband and I can't live apart, right? I mean, some couples do, but that's not my jam,
Mhm.
right? And so I looked at for that, I really leaned into, you remember how you were saying don't look
Yes.
down type of thing at
Yeah.
that fear? I really looked more so at what are the benefits of me moving back to
Yeah.
Louisville. I'm closer to my dad, who's getting older, right, and needs a little more
Right.
support. My line sisters are here, my sorority sisters are here, so I have friends
Right.
here. And then literally the first weekend I'm back, I meet
I know.
you and Bridge and a few other people.
I
I'm
know.
like, okay, Lord, I hear
I
you.
know.
I hear you. I hear you. The
Yes.
Lord is like, I got you. I'm
Yes.
gonna give you some
I'm gonna
things, right?
surround
Type of thing.
you with a sister circle, like you.
That's right.
Yeah. So I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I lean more into the positive than the, oh gosh, I'm leaving this and I'm
Right.
selling my house and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Ye-
So Candice, when it comes to fear, can you tell, how do you handle it? Do you have a certain regimen that you do or certain things that you do to kind of eliminate or lessen the fear?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of times in fearful situations, I don't even handle it. I send in what I call my squad,
Oh,
right? So let me tell you about my squad.
okay.
You know how Beyonce has Sasha
Yes.
Fierce, right? So Beyonce's the wife, the mom. She doesn't like the limelight. But when it comes to being half naked in front of millions of people, shaking her booty, she sends in Sasha Fierce
Okay.
to do the job, right? And if you follow Tabitha Brown
Yes.
on social media, she has given a persona, a name to her hair, right? And Donna, her hair's name is Donna, and she has a whole attitude, right? So these alter egos, these personas, I have two that I send in the case of when I'm scared. When Kandice is scared, then Kandice is just like, all right, girl, she calls in her backup, right? So one of my personas is Candy.
Okay.
And her walkout song
Oh
is
Lord.
Taste Like Tastes like candy. So here's the thing. I know, right? I am really, you may not think it, I'm kind of introvert. I mean, around my core
Yeah.
circle, I'm good,
Yeah.
right? But when it comes to big social events, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So I call Candy in. She pre-games. She's already a little tipsy before she gets
Yeah.
to the party so that she has a good time,
Lord.
right? To me, that's fearful to be in these big social
Yeah.
situations and you got to talk to people and stuff like that. So I send her in. Now I can't call her in too much because she's liable to get drunk and, like I got to keep an eye out on her. But my other one, her name is Dom,
Okay.
right? Short for Dominique.
Okay.
Now, Dominique, I see her 2-3 times a week,
Oh God.
right? In fearful situations. I mean, situations where you have to have certain
Yeah.
conversations at work, right? Situations where you just like, oh, do I have to deal with this type of
Yeah.
thing? I send somebody else in. So it's like I get reprieved of doing it and I get to put on this alter ego and this persona and have that person do it,
Yeah.
right? So Dom is like my muscle. Her walkout song is like, Nuck if you buck, right? Nuck if you buck.
See?
Right? She's not scared of
Yes.
anything, right? She's like, put me in the game, Candace, put me in the
Yes.
game type of.
Yes.
I can put on this other kind of persona and just do whatever it
Right.
takes to get over that fear. Cause like Dom is not scared of anything. I mean, she's ready
Yeah.
to buck up type of thing,
Okay.
right? Or she's ready to have that conversation with an employee that's not doing well
Right.
or a higher up or something that's doing you wrong
Right.
type of thing. So
Okay.
I would say, kind of like you name your fear,
Mhm.
right? So you can look at it and be like, what you're not going to do is stop me from doing what I want to do,
Right.
right? But you also name your squad. It's like know thyself,
Mhm.
know those other personalities, because we all
We
have them,
do. We
right?
do.
We do. It's just now you got to name it
Yeah.
and put it in the
Put
game,
it in
put
the
her in the
game.
game
Right.
when she's needed,
Yes.
right? So that's a lot. That's really what I do a lot. I call Dom in a lot to
Yes.
handle she's my muscle, to handle my dirty
All
work.
right,
So,
Queen. So we heard it from Candace. We need a squad, and so
right.
name them so that when we hear them or feel them tugging and saying, "Put me in the
Yeah, yeah,
game, coach," like you just throw them
yeah.
on in there. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Absolutely.
So you've earned multiple master degrees, which is, I mean, that's a
Almost
bold,
embarrassingly.
multiple master's degrees.
Right.
That in itself is a bold accomplishment. So what made you say yes to pursuing that level of education?
So I am all about using your
Mhm.
resources, right? So like, in my 20s when I would have to go into the office, yeah, I take a pen or two home. Those are my resources, right? The company provides the pens and I like this pen, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna take it home with me, right? Later in life, it's using my resources
Right.
because I've always, well, the last probably 15 years
Mhm.
of my career, I've worked in higher ed.
Okay.
So I'm always able to go back to
Yeah.
school at no cost because that's a benefit, that's a
Right.
resource that employees have.
Yes.
So my last two master's degrees were because just like medical benefits, that was a benefit that the university provided for
Right.
their employees. But here's the thing, a lot of companies
Mhm.
provide tuition
Yep.
reimbursement and things like that, but people don't take advantage of
Yes.
that. Listen, just like you use your medical, your dental, you've got to take advantage of everything that that company gives you
I
to
agree.
level up.
Yeah.
Right. Because the reality, especially in this time and day right now, is that companies, they're laying people
Yep.
off. So you want to have a level up before they level up on you
Yes.
type of
I
thing.
agree.
So because of all of that, I'm just like, let me get a certificate. Let me have them pay
Mhm.
for a leadership program. So I'm just like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask, right? Listen, leader, can you pay for this? Here's the justification, the business case.
Right.
And if they pay for it, great. Because we we as humans, we as women, we as Black women,
Mhm.
right? We need to present ourselves at such a higher level than some other
Yes.
demographics,
Yep.
right? So, and not to say that we have to all get PhDs, but we at least have to continuously level up
Mhm.
ourselves, continuous improvement,
Yep.
right? Just like eat healthy or whatever, you have to improve your career or your professional development.
Yeah, and I mean, it's unfortunate that we do have to compete in that way, but we are already not on a level playing field, so we have to
Yeah,
definitely take advantage of those, like you said, those, I call them perks because, like we don't always
exactly.
get
Yep.
those, but, I definitely, because my company offers tuition reimbursement and they pay for you to go back to school as well. So I'm back
Yes.
in
Hmm.
school taking advantage of some of those
Yes.
opportunities as well. So I'm like, you got this. Let me see what else you got. So
Yes.
they do have those things. And I encourage every woman, if they work for a company that
Mhm.
provides that or offers that, to definitely take
Yep.
advantage. So thank you,
Yep.
Candace.
Exactly.
And can you tell
Yeah.
me, so how has education shaped the way that you take risk and think big?
I think education in two ways has helped. One is it makes me more confident, right? This last master's I got was so I have an MBA in
Mhm.
marketing, but I got that 1,000 years
Yeah.
ago, right? And things have changed so much with marketing, especially with AI,
Right.
with digital marketing and things like that. I needed to learn the latest
Mhm.
and greatest type of thing. So the this master's degree that I just got a few months ago was a master's of science in digital
Okay.
marketing, right? It's made me more confident. I knew I had to be in the job. My company did a return to office,
Yeah.
which meant that I would have had to relocate again.
Okay.
I just moved here. I wasn't going to relocate again. So I knew I would be in the job market
Mhm.
soon. So I needed to have leveled up the skills, which gave me a little more
Mhm.
confidence, right? So I knew I could snack, which I did. I just started this week, my new role,
And
right? So
congratulations.
thank you. So I knew it gave me more
Yeah.
confidence to find another job if I needed to, and I did.
Mhm.
But also to level up professionally in an entrepreneurial
Right.
perspective, right? Because here's the other thing: a lot of times it's not we know a lot of the
Mhm.
things that we may learn in school, but the people need to know that we went through 2 years of getting or whatever amount of time
Right.
to get a degree to have that paper, to have those
Mm.
receipts, as the kids say, right? And a lot of times a degree is about having a receipt so that when you do go to a company or a prospective client, you're saying, look, I
Mhm.
have a blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, or I have a certificate. So a lot of times it's for us to level up our skill set, but also so others can see that we have the tenacity and the
Mhm.
wherewithal to go through something from A to Z and
Right.
see it all the way through.
Right.
But for me, it gave me more confidence, not only knowing that I could go into the job market and get what I had to get,
Mhm.
but also gave me the confidence to kind of reshape and relaunch, re-engineer
Mhm.
my marketing company and really lean into the AI.
Mm.
So it really helped me on both
Yeah.
levels. So
Well, good. And you were saying, like the receipt lets the
mhm.
company know that we have the tenacity, but not only the tenacity, but also the discipline, because that's, like
Yes.
that takes a lot to continue,
Hmm.
to continue education and to,
Hmm.
go and turn in these writing assignments, Lord Jesus,
Yeah.
every day. So,
Right.
so that
Yeah. Mhm.
definitely takes discipline to do that.
Yeah.
Do you
Hmm.
see a connection between lifelong learning and entrepreneurship?
I see whether it's entrepreneurship or
Mhm.
just in general, just leveling up as an individual
Mhm.
person, lifelong learning in general. Like, So I have a fitness business, and I'm the CEO of the company, but I also work with other companies to train people how to be
Right.
fitness instructors, right? But even as I'm training someone else, I'm still leveling up my skills because here's the deal. I have to continue to feed into me
Right.
in order to feed into someone
I
else,
agree.
right? So I have to continue to level up my skills to be able to XYZ so I can, figure out how to teach it to you person,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's a fitness or entrepreneur with AI and a small business, I have to continue to level my skill set up so I can help someone
Right.
else. So,
Now, and since that's a good segue into the next question. Now that we're talking about your business, tell me
mhm.
what inspired you to step into entrepreneurship? Because I know that takes a lot of, starting something on your
Yeah.
own takes a lot of courage. So, what inspired
Yeah.
you?
It was a weird, and I'm like, I got into it like this. It was accountability. And I'm gonna tell you, so my first business that I opened was my fitness business, right? I used to be overweight and I lost 60 pounds and went through this crazy weight loss journey of just, eating healthier and working out and things like
Okay.
that. But once I got down to my sexy weight,
Hey,
I was like, now
girl.
how
What they do? Mhm.
right, yes. How am I gonna keep it off?
Mhm.
So a girlfriend of mine got certified to teach Zumba.
Okay.
And she was like, girl, you should do it. And then she was telling me a story about how she went to a class and the Zumba instructor was just horrible,
Mm,
right? And she was like, I don't even know how to teach Zumba, but I know rhythm and I know how to
yeah.
dance. And then she got certified to be a Zumba instructor. Well, she never started teaching. And she was like, Candace, you should do it too. Right. And for me, I went ahead and did. It was almost like a
Right.
challenge, like I dare
Oh,
you
you
to.
like a good challenge, I see. Yeah.
So I
Go.
got certified to teach Zumba, and I used it as a way to hold myself
Okay.
accountable for showing up at the gym. Because I had lost the weight, I still needed to work
Right.
out, right? So if I'm in front of the class teaching, moving, and it's my workout, but it's not really, it's
Yeah.
theirs, but still it held me
Mhm.
accountable to working out. And then I got into it and I was like, I kind of like this, right? So then I got certified for Pilates, yoga, like all the things, spin,
Yeah.
all the things. And then eventually Rebound Fitness and then I pivoted my
Right.
company for business reasons to focus on Rebound Fitness. But I still teach a good Zumba
Hey,
class.
listen, we know I'm gonna hold you
Hey,
to that. Mhm. Yep. Writing it down. Taking it. Yeah.
delete,
Mental
delete.
notes. Nope.
Right,
Got it.
right.
That's
So that's how it started. My first company kind of started as just kind of a,
yeah.
hey, you should do it. Okay. And then I kind of tripped and fell into a
Yeah.
passion, right? Because of my weight loss journey,
Mhm.
I was then able to help other
Yeah.
people through their challenges. Whether it was weight loss or, energy, how do I eat right? How do I blah blah blah,
Yeah.
whatever. Health, wellness, and fitness, that's kind of my jam,
Yeah.
right? Type of thing. And then the business was built.
And it's so funny because we just never know, what we might trip and fall into, but then then end up, having this passion for doing it and it leads
Yeah.
to something
Mhm.
bigger and greater. So,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
always thank God for those things that I'm like,
Yes.
"Oh, I don't know that I'm gonna like this." But then like my guitar,
Yeah.
like I'm like, "Oh,
Yes!
I like this." So, now
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, "Okay."
exactly.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Mhm.
Um, when you think about, like the things that you faced as a business owner, can you share one of the most scariest yet exciting moments?
Mhm. Yeah, there's been a lot of, whew, I tell you, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint at
Right.
heart, man. And especially because at a certain point in my business, I had other instructors
Right.
that were working for my business. And not that it was not a bad
Yeah.
decision at all, right? But they were
Okay.
friends. Because my community that I built around fitness, it was, yeah, we're here to work out and things like that. But we used to do things outside of the gym,
Right.
right? So we formed a
Okay.
friendship. And then some of those
Yeah.
rose up a level and became instructors and taught, but it's hard to be the
Mhm.
boss and then have to
Yeah.
have certain
Separate.
conversations with
Mhm.
friends slash employees. That's just a tough
Yeah.
thing. I mean, learning that, it's just tough. All the lessons in life came from business
Mhm.
type of thing. But I think um, the biggest thing for me, the biggest pivot. Actually, I heard a mentor. She was someone else's mentor, but she always says you have to pivot to perform,
I
right?
like that.
So in a certain points in life, and it's funny because I'm in marketing, so I watch a lot of
Yeah.
brands and how they move. Toys R Us. Remember Toys
I
R
do.
Us? They were just the jam when we
They
were,
were.
well, they don't
Yeah.
even, they're not in business
Yeah.
anymore, right? Because they didn't
Yeah.
pivot to perform. They
Yeah.
thought everyone was always going to want to come into
Into the
their retail
store,
store.
right.
Right. And then when things shifted to online shopping and things like that, they did not
Yeah.
shift. They did
They
not
didn't make
pivot
it. Yeah.
to perform. Now they're gone, right? So, and she gave that example when she was explaining how you have to pivot to perform.
Mhm.
It may not be, I mean, it has to be a calculated risk,
Right.
right? Don't just say, oh, I'm going to start selling cups now when I previously sold
Yeah.
pens, right? Type of thing. It has to be calculated, but still, right?
Yeah.
You have to pivot.
Mhm.
So when I decided, because of marriage, to move here to Louisville, I took that, again, looking at the positive, not the
Right.
negative. Took that as an opportunity to revamp my business
Mhm.
model for my fitness business, right? Because in Atlanta, I was teaching 2 or 3 classes a week and, all of that. And now I'm pivoting. I'm a whole wife now. So
The
am
whole
I going to
life.
take three?
Yes.
Oh, so do I want to take three days a week to
Right.
then go teach fitness, or do I want to lean into another part of
Yeah.
fitness that still can be profitable, that still is needed in the community and things like
Right.
that? But it's scary.
Exactly.
It's scary because what I've known is being in the gym, teaching
Mhm.
classes, training my instructors to do the same
Yeah.
thing, teach classes, right? So pivoting into this new business model is scary, but I'm so
Well,
excited.
I'm
Like the
excited for you.
financial. Yes, it's just it's calculated, but it's gonna
And
work.
I love that pivot to perform. So I might,
Yes.
we might see that again. But I thank you for sharing. That's
That's funny.
interesting.
Imma send you a bill every time I hear you say it. I'm just
Go
playing.
ahead and bill me, girl. Look, where we go? But
This yours to use. Go
I
ahead.
love that because,
Mhm.
like, I think everybody has to pivot at some point in life,
Yeah,
regardless of what it
yeah,
is, whether it's in
yeah.
business, relationships, like it
Yes.
doesn't matter, like to hear that and just to think of what it means, like,
Yeah,
and just seeing a actual person pivoting, like, you're like, "Oh,
yeah.
okay, well, I know why they
Mhm.
do that." So now just
Yeah.
applying that to, like, everyday things. So I love it.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and I know you said that you don't think you have an adventurous, uh, spirit, so I'm gonna change the wording of that. So,
Okay.
we
Okay.
how has having a fearless mindset helped you
Uh-oh, here we
navigate, the uncertainty of entrepreneurship?
Okay, you bleeped out for a little bit, so I didn't hear the
Oh, you're
question.
fine, and sorry. How has having a fearless mindset helped you navigate the uncertainty of entrepreneurship?
So it's not just that mindset. It's that mindset. It's having a mentor. So I have a mentor, and thank goodness. I mean, she is
Mhm,
amazing. She's an African American
mhm,
female, and she's at a C level, executive
okay,
level at an organization, and she's helped me tremendously on a lot of things. So having that outside kind of
yes,
guidance and mentorship has helped. It's my own research. It's a lot of
okay,
things that have helped in that. It's not just the
mhm,
mindset, but that's a big piece of it. That's a foundation, right? Because you do have to have that same mindset.
yes,
But surrounding yourself by good people, having that guidance and mentorship, having even friends that you can tap into when things in business
right,
happen. So it's kind of all of that comes together
yeah.
when things like that happen.
Yeah, and one of the thing, just saying the mentorship, and I think that's very important too with, especially with women in business or just people
Yes.
general, but,
Mhm.
having a mentor, to pour
Mhm.
into you or to even reach out
Yes.
to, for guidance and support, like, that is
Mhm.
definitely, a plus. So if
Yes.
I know my job actually has a mentorship program, but
Okay.
even if yours don't, doesn't, then just finding somebody that is in the area that you want to, pursue, and just
Mhm.
trying to connect with them to get a mentorship started. I love that. Um,
Can I add to
yeah,
that? Can I add to that? I 100% agree. Find someone who's in your area that's a little ahead of
yes,
you, right? They've been there, done
yep,
that, where you're going. They've already gone down
yes,
those rabbit holes and things like that. But also mentorship in other. So my mentor is in
hmm,
HR. right? She's chief HR
Yeah.
officer, right, for her organization. So, but because she's an African American female,
Mhm.
she can give me guidance not on marketing or fitness or
Right.
something like that,
But in the
but
areas
on
that you need.
yeah, she's working on my with me on my corporate
Yep.
presence, just other things that are super important as we either are entrepreneurs and build our
Yes.
businesses or climb that ladder. So you don't have to just stick with one. You can have many,
Right.
you know? So
That's true. Now this I know. You are like a travel queen. You are always going somewhere. So,
mhm.
travel
Yeah.
and exploration are big parts of who you are. So, can you tell me how travel infuse your creativity and innovation?
Yeah, it's just there's the world because I was born and raised here in
Mhm.
Louisville, Kentucky. So for 24 years of my life, really, I mean, sometimes we drove to Paducah or to Greenville, Kentucky, but I didn't get much outside of
Yeah.
Kentucky, right? Type of thing. So when I was able to, pay for my own
Mhm.
trips and, not have to, have a permission slip to go on,
Right.
outside,
Ooh, the permission slip.
then then it opened my eyes because I think the first, like most of us, maybe the first international trip that I ever took was to
Yeah.
Jamaica, right? Type of thing. But even that opened my eyes because in Kentucky, we don't have
No.
beaches, right? So now I'm able to see a beautiful beach, right? Last year, I went to South Africa and just, you know, tasting the food
Yeah.
and, the
It's
culture and
different.
things like that.
Mhm.
Year before that, it was Colombia, South America. And, so it's my mom and I took a trip to Italy, a 10-day trip to Italy, and just seeing things that I saw in textbooks like the
Yes.
Colosseum, the David, things like that. I'm like, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
real, type of thing. It just really opens your eyes to the different cultures and that feeds
Mhm.
creativity. When I went to South Africa last year, I teach rebound fitness and I connected with someone
Mhm.
over there who teaches rebound
Okay.
fitness, right? So we got together and filmed content on the beach in South Africa. It was just
I bet that was
amazing, right?
fun.
It was just
Yeah.
amazing. Yes, it was amazing. So, it was just the different cultures and everything lets you know that there's so much of the
Right.
world,
That we haven't. Yeah.
that you can see. My
Yeah.
next trip, I think, is gonna be to Thailand or Costa Rica, in a few months.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just super excited. What can that give me as far as
Yeah.
experiences?
A lot. I love that for you because you are always going somewhere, but I love seeing the
Yeah,
content
yeah,
when you post and share, because
yeah,
it does it's like, "Oh my god," and like you
yeah,
said, just
yeah.
being able to actually see things that you only saw in textbooks. So,
Yep,
and my
yep,
daughter is in the military, and so she's getting to
yes,
travel and visit places that she probably would never have been able to see had she not joined the military. And
right.
so to hear her
Mhm,
experiences or to see the,
mhm,
the excitement in her eyes when she goes to different places, it's like, oh, like that's a joy for me
yeah,
because I'm like, I don't
yes.
want you to just be stuck, like you said, in Kentucky and not see anything, you know. But
Exactly. But the other good thing is having people, because I never had kids and neither did my husband. Just, we just never had, because it was just us and the
yeah.
dog, right? So we can board the
And
dog and
yes,
be
and be
out
gone
and be out.
but
But for my friends who have kids at this point in our lives,
yeah.
their kids are gone. Like you said,
Yeah.
your baby is, I say baby, but your
Yeah,
daughter
she's
is,
still my baby.
overseas. And like
Yeah.
Dion and Terry, their kids are grown.
Right.
And now, especially my girlfriend Dion, she has a bag packed and ready. She was like, you just let me know
When you go.
where we're going. Do I need to switch out a hoodie for a
Right.
bathing suit?
See?
Type of thing. So having those people around you
Yes, that
also
can just
that are
go.
ready
Mhm.
and open and have the
Yeah.
resources and maybe time off a little
Yeah.
bit to travel, it helps to build that list of places that you've
It
been, like
does.
that bucket list
Yes,
checking
it
off.
does.
So
Ooh, and
yeah.
speaking of bucket list, like, we'll get to that. I have a question for that too.
Okay. Yeah.
So, now I want you can you share, a story where saying yes to something unexpected
Mhm.
completely changed the direction of your journey?
And I'm gonna tell you, I fought. I was fighting. I was
Really?
elbowing to say, I oh, throw them
Right.
bones. I was not gonna say yes. I
Mhm.
was fighting it until this is what happened. My now husband and I, we
Uh,
reconnected about 3 or whatever years at a fitness event.
mhm.
We're both into fitness, right? So we reconnected at a fitness event. And ever since then, he must have saw me because I co-led the
Yeah.
class and he was probably like, okay. I'm gonna get this, right? But he was living in a different city.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can't do long distance. I don't want to do long
Yeah.
distance now. So he was trying. My girlfriends, it was my birthday trip. We had taken a trip to Florida for my birthday, my 50th birthday,
Mhm.
right? And one of my girlfriends, I saw her out the corner of my eye go into the back room, and she comes back with her cell phone on speakerphone, puts it on the table. And I was like, "What are you doing?" She said, "Eric's on the phone, my husband," right? And she had called him because we were, like women do, we were having conversations
Mhm.
about men, right? And so he was saying happy birthday, right? But after that situation, they were like, "Candice, why don't you say yes to him?
Yeah.
Go out on a date with him, meet him halfway. You don't have to have him come to Atlanta and stay at your house, but
Mhm.
say yes to at least spending one night, not in a sexual way, but
Right.
just, spending time with him. Just say yes to
Yeah.
that." And I said, "Okay, fine." I mean, I did not want to do it because I didn't like long distance
Yeah.
relationships, right? But I said yes to that. And it still took about 2 or 3 months for me to
Right.
really commit to a date. But that first weekend that we got together in person, oh, it was the sparks, right? It was like it was an initial connection that it it hasn't turned off since
Yeah.
then, right? And ever since that weekend, we met in Nashville. Ever since that weekend, we've been on, and
Yeah.
now we're married. So saying yes to that
Yes.
completely changed the direction of my life, my business,
Yeah.
everything. Just saying yes to meeting him in Nashville that
Yeah.
weekend changed everything.
And the crazy thing is to hear you tell the story about how you guys went to college together and knew each other.
Yeah,
And then here we are, like,
yeah,
fast forward 30 30 years
yeah.
later, and it's just
Yeah, 30 plus years later. We never dated in
mm,
college. I kinda knew him because we ran in the same
yeah,
Greek circles, but we never, as a matter of fact, I dated his, fraternity brother. He dated my sorority
uh-huh,
sister back then, but we never dated. Just later in life, it
yeah,
was a godsend. So, yeah.
exactly, that part, and it's
Mhm.
I love it,
Yeah,
like, you
yeah,
just never know
exactly.
what's gonna come back
Yep.
around, but I love that for
Mhm.
you.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Um, so we can't talk about your, like, your adventures in business without talking about some risk. So what's the biggest calculated risk that you've ever taken and what happened?
Mm. I think the story is to be written as to what happens. My mind, I have what I feel like will happen.
Okay.
I have I have other people saying, yeah, 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 it's going to happen. Just this is the right
Mhm.
direction. But going back to that pivot to perform,
Okay.
right? So I've always been in marketing for the last, 30 years of my career. I've been in marketing, and it's always been strategic marketing, digital marketing, and things like
Yeah.
that. Well, now this thing called AI is just, it's all
Right.
over the place, right? So then I'm going through an AI consulting certification now,
Mhm.
which is why I say the story is yet to be
Okay.
written. But I am shifting gears all the way, which is a risk because I'm leaning away from everything I've known as far as what's successful in
Yeah.
marketing, right? Strategic marketing, digital marketing, TV, radio, billboards, social media, to lean into AI and how you can use AI to help
Okay.
your marketing strategy to make more money and things like that. I've done it for clients,
Mhm.
low key, just testing out my system and things like that. But to me, it's so scary because it's a risk.
Right.
It really is a risk. This thing called AI has been around for so long, but we people are just really hearing a lot about
Yeah.
it in the last couple of years. But for me to completely shift the gear of my marketing company to really lean into
Mhm.
AI is sort of scary because we don't know how this AI thing is going to
You
shake out.
cannot. Yeah.
Right. But my leader in this
Mhm.
consulting certification, she did it. And she is wildly successful,
Okay.
right? Wildly successful. So I'm like, okay, she did it. I know I have confidence. I'm getting my papers, right?
Yep.
I'm getting my
Yes.
my certificate, have a whole degree on marketing, digital marketing. So it's scary, it's a risk,
Okay.
and this is probably the scariest risk because now I'm helping other businesses to use AI. And I don't know, I just feel responsible to those clients to do good by them.
Mhm.
So it's scary. I've used AI in my business, but helping someone
To
else to
use it
use it
in
is a little
theirs,
scary
right?
risk. Yeah, but I think it will pay off. So check back with me in about a month and a
We
half.
will do. I
Yeah,
got you down.
yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Exactly.
was there, a risk that you took that others thought was, like, too bold, but it actually worked out for you?
Um, I would say moving back
Yeah.
here. Honestly, moving back to Louisville and leaving. I mean, when I think about it, I'm like, what was I thinking? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the best decision, but I left, it was such a leap of
Yeah.
faith to move back, move back to a city that, girl, when I left here, I said, I'm never moving back to Louisville. I literally said that. Like, I'm never moving back to Louisville. And you never say never,
I'm
right?
telling you.
When I lived here before, though, it was a much different city.
Right.
30 years ago, they didn't have the riverfront. It was a different city, right? So, I had a lot of friends in Atlanta that thought I was crazy for moving back, right? And part of it was maybe their own, like, I don't want her to leave, so I'm going to tell her I think she's
Yeah.
crazy type of thing. So, but I had a lot of people that thought I was crazy for relocating back here for a marriage, for not for someone else. It wasn't for someone else. It was for our future, right? But that would probably be the decision. But it has worked out. I am so glad I am back here. Wouldn't have met you, wouldn't have just wouldn't have just had such a peace. I mean, the traffic was horrible in Atlanta, type of
1 year in
yeah.
Atlanta, and that was all it took for me. And so I'm like, golly, it took literally an hour to get to work, and I only lived probably 20 minutes away. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. And then coming home,
Yeah.
it was like 2 to 3. It's like, this is stupid.
Yes.
But,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
but
crazy.
I
Yeah.
love the city itself because it is rich in culture. So
Yeah, I'm lacking that
yeah.
a little bit, but that's what road trips are for.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm going back to Atlanta next month. So hey, let's get some of that culture. Let's get some slutty vegan. Have you ever had slutty vegan?
I have not, but I've heard that it was.
Yes, I love that place.
I've definitely heard about it and heard it was I must try.
Yes,
But I've not
exactly,
been there.
exactly.
Not been.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So get some of that good food, that good
I
culture, and
love it.
then get out of there.
Yes. Right. And then
Type of
come
thing.
home. Yeah.
Right.
And then come home. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
all right. So now I want us to have some fun with a quick rapid round, a fire round, and just say the first thing that comes to mind. All right. So most spontaneous business decision.
To even start a business, period. Just to actually be an entrepreneur and have to do an LLC and all that. Like what?
That part. Boldest travel destination.
I'm going to say Thailand. That I'm planning to go to Thailand because it's so women have to cover up, and I'm like, cover up, wait, So I mean, it's totally different culture than in the U.S. or anywhere I've been. So that's bold.
And so I'm waiting to hear about that too. Adventure still on your bucket list.
Oh my God! I need to get you in on this. I need to get you in on it. Listen, you started it, friend. You started. Well, on my phone, and I made my husband do it. I think I made my friend Terry and Deanne do it. So I changed it. It was going to be a 55 by 55.
Okay.
So 55 things I want to do before the age of 55. I did it at 40 as well, a 40 by 40 list. So I had a 55 by 55, and I realized, oh crap, that's next year. I'll be 55 next year. I'm like, I'm not going to get through this whole long list. I mean, some of them are checked off, but I have so many things on that list. Things like destinations. Let's talk about this. Thailand, that's already in the works. Bali, Martha's Vineyard.
I'm going there. Both.
Bali?
Martha's Vineyard has been on my bucket list for probably about 10 years.
Exactly. Exactly.
Crazy.
So things like that. I want to go see the Great Wall of China. I want to go to Sedona, Arizona, So that's travel. There's do 100 days of workout, like continuous. So day one we pick a day to start. It does not matter. But for 100 days, you will have movement. It could be walking, it could be yoga, it could be intense exercise, but 100 days of workout. Just a lot of things on the list that I want to do. Some are internal, like write a letter to XYZ people. That's just getting some things off my chest, just, getting it out of my heart and my head. But some of them are, we need to pack a bag and let's go.
And so
type of thing.
The writing the letter sounds so cleansing. Like that sounds so cleansing. The 100-day workout, I'll watch and I'll say, no ma'am, no ma'am. I will be the person that films it for you because somebody has to live to tell about it. So that would be me.
Somebody's got to live to tell about it.
Like the rides at the theme parks. Like somebody has to video it because I'm gonna have to live to tell about it. So I'm not, yeah.
Right, yeah.
But
Understood.
Candice.
So that's so write a list.
Yeah.
And maybe for those things that we both have in common, let's do it
I
together.
love
Like
it.
I want to do drumming class. I don't
Drumming?
even know if they have drummers.
They do.
Drumming.
Yeah.
Well, like I've never taken
Yeah.
one. Like I want to do a drumming class, stuff like that.
Oh, that's so neat. Yeah, so
Yeah,
maybe you can
yeah.
play the drums and I'll strum my guitar. You know, we can
Yes,
start a band.
exactly. Let's do it. Let's do
Look,
it.
add that to the bucket list.
Right, exactly.
Lastly, before we leave, for those women
Mhm.
who really want to venture out into entrepreneurship, do you have some
Mhm.
encouraging words to say to them?
So I'm not trying to I hope Nike doesn't sue us, but literally just do it. Because there is, for whatever you want to sell, or if you want to write a book and sell the book, whatever your skill, your knowledge, whatever there is someone that needs
Yep.
it, right? So it's almost like God has given you a gift. And why are you not sharing that gift, right? Yeah, so no, it's fear, right? I get it. But you're stopping yourself from blessing someone else with your knowledge, with your gift. So don't let that stop you. Get your squad so they can do some of your dirty work and get over that fear, but do not let it stop you. Like really just take that first step, even if that first step is a tiny baby step of registering an LLC, right? And then you take the next step, but eventually just don't let it stop you.
Well,
Exactly.
Candice, this has been
Uh-huh.
an incredible conversation. And
Oh,
I thank you so
yay.
much for coming on and being the first
Uh-huh.
on the podcast. So thank you. And so
Yay!
for the listeners,
Yay!
I hope you're walking away with a reminder that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward anyway, trusting that God has equipped you with everything that you need for the journey. And so my prayer for you queens this week is to say yes to that thing that God has been nudging you toward. Remember, your crown is already on your head. You are chosen, called, and capable of living boldly. So if today's episode encouraged you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share it with another queen who needs this word. And make sure that you subscribe on Spotify and YouTube at the Queen's Court Pod so you never miss an episode. For daily encouragement and behind the scenes, connect with me on Instagram at the Queen's Court Pod and on TikTok at the Rain Room. Thank you again, Candice, for joining. All right.
Awesome. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the Queen's Court today. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep reigning with purpose and walking in power.